Early the next morning, we left our boondocking spot near Moab, Utah, to drive to Island in the Sky Visitor Center in Canyonlands National Park. So this is the Shafer Trail overlook. We're going to drive this later. Looks like it's in great condition. Oh, that's the bottom of it? Oh, I can see the road here. It looks in good shape. This doesn't look that scary. At the visitor center, the ranger gave us the major spots in the park that we would want to hit. I've circled those here on the map in red. We decided we would leave the visitor center and tackle the park going clockwise. And there were a few hikes we wanted to do, but mainly the Grand View hike was supposed to be really, really nice. And we would end the day at the Shafer Trail. We're at the Green River overlook. And it's pretty cool. Isn't Green River a city we're going to? I wonder what's there. We started the Grand View Trail, and you can see the little road down there, and the needles off in the far distance, and the maze is farther down, which you probably can't see in the video. But just look how straight down the walls are. Just amazing. After we had finished exploring the main area of the park, we stopped back at the visitor center for a quick stop and to air the tires down for the infamous Shafer Trail road that we were about to drive. It's all 4x4, lots of switchbacks. If I zoom in here, you can see this is the area that I was really nervous about if we were going to be able to make those tight turns in the van. At the visitor center earlier in the morning, the ranger had told us that the road was in really good condition, and with 4x4 and in low gear, she thought we would be totally fine driving down. So we decided that we would leave the park through the Shafer Trail. The Shafer Trail Canyon Road, if I zoom out, does not go all the way back to Moab. So we would have to connect to the Potash Road. And as you can see here, it's much longer and twisty, and she had no idea what kind of condition Potash Road was in. So she said we might run into problems, but worst case, we turn around and we have to drive back up the Shafer Trail into the park and then out that way. So we were hopeful, we think we were going to have good luck and make it all the way back to Moab. The road bad at all?
Any bad spots on the road?
No.
No? Okay, good. So we made it to the bottom. It's like 3 times my heart was pounding really hard. at our camp spot for tonight. If you can look behind me, you'll see how beautiful it is. We have really great views. It was a little rough getting down here. Before yesterday, I would have for sure said it was rough, but after today and all the driving we did, nothing seems rough as much anymore. I think it was 3 hours on the Shafer Trail, but all the way down back to the main highway through Potash, I believe is the name of the road. So we are grilling and gonna have our last sausage links that we bought in Alabama. And I have some blueberries I got at the store yesterday. I haven't had blueberries in 3 weeks, so I'm super excited about that. And we've been going a lot. We've seen a lot of awesome things, but I'm pretty tired. I think tomorrow's Arches, and it's going to be another hard day. Early the next morning, we left our boondocking spot to drive to Arches National Park. Arches is one of the smaller national parks in Utah, but it requires you to plan ahead. It's one of the few parks where there is timed entry. So a few days earlier, I went into recreation.gov, signed up for a time slot, paid the $2 fee, and we were really lucky to get a 7 a.m. entry. The Arches National Park Visitor Center. Arches National Park has the densest concentration of natural stone arches in the world. There are over 2,000 documented arches in the park. And the cool thing is that they're always changing because the weather is constantly eroding the arches and creating new ones. Initially, we had planned to start our day out with a 3.6-mile strenuous hike to Delicate Arch, as we'd heard this was the most popular place in the park to hike. But we quickly realized that seeing all these arches was going to involve a lot of walking. And because of the timed entry, the park was not crowded early in the morning. So we decided to skip the hike and just to focus on seeing all the various arches in the park. This is the Delicate Arch. Not quite what I was expecting. This is the fiery furnace. You need a permit to go in, but it's basically scrambling the rocks. We met a couple who went and they spent 3 hours doing that. This is pretty cool. In here. I think it looks like a heart. So this is the other side of the broken arch, but you can't see the breakage point over this side really. But the sun's over here, which makes it look prettier. This is landscape arch. It's really cool. It should be called Delicate Arch because it looks like it's so fragile. There's Navajo Arch. At this point, a steep rock scramble was required to reach the Double O Arch, so we decided it was best to turn around. This is pretty cool. It's the Windows parking lot at Arches. It's kind of a zoo here. Tons of people. Hiking the Park Avenue Trail here, and you can see all the way around me. It's all kinds of cool
formations. In the rock behind me, there's one that has a hole in it, and it's blazing hot too. I think it's about 12:30, heat of the day.
After we finished the park, we made the short drive from Arches into the town of Moab. It had been a long, tiring day, so after walking 13 miles, we didn't spend much time exploring the town. We sat down for a drink at Zach's and reflected upon our day. Timed entry, while a bit of a pain, was a huge success. And 2 days to go through the park would have been much better because it was just so much walking, and we didn't even do that long hike. Landscape Arch and Double Arch were two of our favorites.
Zach's is behind me. It's kind of a cool place. We had a drink there. I liked it. This is the Moab Diner where the van's parked. We're heading back over there after having a drink at Zach's and shopping. We're at the Moab Diner and we're exhausted, but we're having dinner before we go back to our boondocking spot from last night and figure out what we're doing tomorrow.
Our food was outstanding and very reasonably priced. It was way better than when we ate at that Dewey the first night. Before we left town to go to our boondocking spot, we decided it was time to fuel up and to refill our water tanks. Luckily, the Maverick station in town has a sign which even tells you where to park in order to get your free water. So it was really nice. Our goal for today was to reach the town of Green River, Utah. However, we weren't going to take a direct route from our boondocking spot outside of the town of Moab. Instead, we were going to drive scenic byway 128 that left Moab headed in the wrong direction from Green River. But it follows the Colorado River, and we heard it was one of the most beautiful drives that you couldn't miss in Utah. There were stunning views along the drive, so we were really happy we had decided to take the longer route. And there were even some boondocking spots along the way, so that's something we might want to check into in the future if we return.
Alright, so here we are on scenic 128, and it's been beautiful. The picnic tables behind us, we had lunch on the riverfront. You can see the rapids down here. This is the Colorado River. There's nobody else here. I wish I'd see a raptor come by. That would be cool. We saw where they were putting the rafts in at the river, but we haven't seen any going down. Even though they keep coming back empty with pulling buses without rafts.
As we continued our drive along Highway 128, we eventually arrived at the Dewey Bridge, which was interesting to us because the restaurant we had eaten at in Moab, called the Dewey Restaurant, was named after the Dewey Bridge. This was a historic bridge that was built in 1916.
We're at the J.W. Powell River History Museum after doing laundry. This is in Green River, Utah. And they have a movie here that was great about Powell and how he discovered the Colorado River and ventured down it to explore it. Here's a replica of the No Name, which is one of the boats that broke and fell apart. Oh my gosh, it is. Looks like apples. Yeah. Can you imagine going down a rapid in this thing? It's got to be insane. And they went down these rapids. I wouldn't go down in a safe boat with a life vest and everything else nowadays. I didn't notice in the movie they had on a life vest. They probably don't work very well. I don't even know what that's made out of.
Inside the museum is also the visitor center for the town, and they had this awesome map of activities to do in the area, and the guy gave us a lot of good advice.
Getting into Ray's Tavern. This is one of the 2 recommended places in the town.
We had a few drinks and didn't eat anything, but the food that we saw looked like it was good.
For dinner tonight, we have this great charcuterie platter that Chuck put together that looks amazing. Super excited to be here. We have a spot. It's like high 90s and it's super late.
The first 30 days of our great Southwest van adventure comes to an end in Green River, Utah. So far, it had been an amazing trip and we'd seen so many things, but we had a ton of things still left to see on our itinerary. In the next video, we'll continue to explore Green River, eat at an amazing restaurant in this little town, which was one of the main reasons we had decided to venture here, and continue on to Capitol Reef National Park.